Welcome back to my new video. Today I'm going to talk about another topic, and this video is going to be short, so it's not going to be that long, so we're good this time. But is indie music finally going mainstream? Well, let's find out in this video. So indie music, if you don't know the term, it's basically the alternative music compared to the mainstream, like the stuff you hear on the radio and the Big Pop, like The Weeknd, Ariana Grande, all those people, they're all mainstream. But the term indie is basically small creators like you and me. But those people, they either play music or they make beats, or they literally do anything with music. And it's not signed to a label or anything, and it's their own thing, and they just have their own little channel, and they have other different websites, which I'll go into later. But yeah, that's what the indie term is. It's basically small music creators making their own brand for themselves, their own genre of their own music, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'm not gonna explain stuff good, but that's what indie music is. But like back in the day, say like 2012, right? Indie music, it was definitely popping off, but not to the way it is today. I definitely say indie music started really going mainstream even earlier than like 2018. But 2018 is when that real big indie people started popping off. Name a couple right here. So there's Beach House. There's Current Joys. Obviously, the other version of Current Joys, which is the other band, is Surf Curse. This little like stuff like that. Strawberry Guy, Mac DeMarco. He's one of the biggest ones on here for the term indie, or the term alternative music. But yeah, let's go in for like Mac DeMarco, for instance. Mac DeMarco, he basically he does everything. He plays guitar. He mostly does keyboards. He makes his own beats. They're very distinct in a certain way. It has like a big reverb. One of his songs, for instance, is Chamber Reflection. Um, the chorus goes ba-na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na, but it's like totally reverb, so it's like an echo chamber, and probably why it's called Chamber of Reflection, because a lot of his other songs sound like that, but not to that effect, where it has so much reverb where you feel like you're in a hallway while it's being played on a piano. But back in 2012, or even earlier, 2010, we had let's just go back into what's it called? Crystal Castles. Most people might know that, but it's basically a band with some other dude. He makes like basically pop, like kind of like dubstep music, but that's not a good term for it. It's not doing it justice because it's very creative and distinctive beats on its own. It's by far one of the most interesting, most distinctive beats I ever seen within the indie music genre. But Crystal Castles, it basically does like stuff that sounds like an old retro Nintendo vibe. But yeah, it's really interesting. But they really started popping off. This is just one of them, but Crystal Castles really started popping off, I'll say, about like 2007, 2008, but they started the band way earlier. But I mean, the band is so old, you can literally probably find like old creators uploading their videos from like 15 years ago, and it doesn't even have their OG songs yet from their album, which it came out later. So say for instance, you can just look it up. Crystal Castles, one of their biggest albums or biggest songs, or Crime Wave, Vanished, Alice Practice. There's something with that, I don't remember, but it's like a song. And then there's but it used to be like called like Char, and like a bunch of other names are like AAA, because they didn't have the name filled in yet. It's almost like it was like a demo leak that just went online on YouTube. I found one of the original videos made by some random creator like 15 years ago, and it was literally just like called AAA, or I don't remember the name of the song though, but it was really interesting. What was the song? I don't remember the name, but I'll put it in the screen. I'll edit it, and it's literally, that's what it is. You wouldn't think that would be how short the name would be, but that's literally one of the names. But one of the songs, for instance, freak, it is actually deleted off of their thing because it was I guess, too personal for them to upload on their channel, which I don't remember the name, which I'll put it on the screen, but it was taken off because, Alice Glassnett went on it, supposedly because it was way too personal or something. But that's when it really started kicking off with indie, not just them, obviously, but that's one of the people I know. And they did like a cover things where they have like other singers, and then one of the other dude in the band, I don't remember his name, I'll put it on the screen. He would make beats over like singers' voices, like say for instance, say like I don't know, any like indie, say like Current Joys. I don't know if you know that one, but like it's singing, but it has like a totally different chorus, like with the guitar. But this time, Crystal Castles, their job when they come in, if they ever were to make a remix cover, is basically they make like a Nintendo Live, like do 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 do, and they put it over the original song and the voice, and that's how what they're really known for too, is making like remixes of songs from the past and putting like distinctive like beats over it. I'm not doing it justice explaining it, but you just got to go look it up for yourself. Crystal Castles, anything. But yeah, that's when it really started. And then like Mac DeMarco, he came in and he really started making the Chamber of Reflection, Salad Days was his biggest one of his biggest albums ever. I think it came out. I don't know when it came out. It came out real long ago, but the songs were really updated to like a HD high quality version in like 2014 or something. But I think the Salad Days album came out earlier, and he had the other album which had like My Kind of Woman and Freaking Out the Kids in the Neighborhood, all those things that came out in like 2010, 2012, and it started getting real big in there. Yeah, so that was really interesting. And what's it called now? I gotta edit the video because the timer's running out. That's when it really started, though. And then obviously they did their own thing. They put it on Bandcamp, and then the rap era came with SoundCloud with all the little other rappers. They became really big. That was like 2015, 16, 17, and that's when the rap game. All right, so and yeah, Mac DeMarco, he came on, and then he had Salad Days. I don't remember the other album, but it has My Kind of Woman, Freaking Out the Kids in the Neighborhood, and all those other songs. You can easily find it on his YouTube. So, yeah, the indie scene where they, like back in the day, there was a thing called Bandcamp. It still exists today. They had a bunch of other websites, but mostly stuff like Bandcamp, or like people would post it on like their Facebook or MySpace, and then they'll send links. That's how music got shared around back in the day in the internet. And then people would like go through the rabbit hole and they would find it, and then it would go big because they would create their channels, and then people would like the music. And my head's cropped out, Jesus. Then people would like the music, and then yeah, people would start to get big, and that's what the indie scene started coming up. And then I'm gonna go deeper into the rap game with all the indie. I wouldn't call it indie because they don't call themselves indie, but it's pretty indie. It's definitely not mainstream like stuff like the type of like vibes you would hear on the radio, like Ariana Grande or something. And a lot of them, there's a lot of rappers. Even Mac Miller had a time where his music felt pretty indie, even though that would be some of the music that would probably should have been on the radio most of the time. But I don't remember hearing stuff like that. It was too out there back in the day, for it to be like real poppy, and people would play it on the radio. Mostly people would probably just go on Spotify and they would just put on Mac Miller and then play it. But stuff like Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, all those other songs, they would be on the radio constantly because they're probably signed to a label, and they weren't so-called indie because they're basically mainstream at that point. But even The Weeknd, I know he had a real weird, interesting come up where he had stuff with Drake or something, where he would work with Drake or something with that, or don't quote me on it, but I remember that happening at one point at time. And then, yeah, he made his album was called The House of Balloons. He did actually do a cover of one of the indie bands, Beach House. I might just stick it up here if I don't get copyright, but one of the songs on Beach House in their 2008, I have it right here actually. Jesus. I I don't think it's this one, but this is one of their albums. It doesn't have Masters of None. I think it's a totally different, but it was made in 2008, I think, around that time when the song was made. But this was also made around 2008, I think. Yeah, 2008, Beach House. And then there's a second one. This is one of their biggest albums for the indie scene, and this is called Depression Cherry by Beach House. This one had one of the biggest ones yet. One of their biggest songs on here was called Space Song. Right, it's like ba ba da da. It had a very distinctive beat to it. A very like it almost sounds like a piano. I don't know what it was, but it's like a. I think it's like this type of stuff. Even the Crystal Castles, uh, band or whatever you want to call it. I think they used a similar thing with like a reverb, and they would like play piano keys and like make distinctive sounds. So Space Song is definitely one that's up there. Obviously a bunch of different ones for this is indie by the way. This is really this is as mainstream indie as you can get. Other than Mac DeMarco, this is really indie mainstream. And the thing I want to say is, why are these mainstream bands getting so much attention now, even if they're indie? Well, I think it's because the internet, the constant. If you check out my other video, the constant how it's constantly evolving and how things are constantly getting shared and people are more open in certain ways to different ideas, even if we're still having problems with people and spreading their views and getting angry at each other and having opposite opposing sides of their views and getting mad at each other. But within the music scene, the art scene, the internet is really doing some good things out there, other than like NFTs and like YouTubers stealing other people's content, which I'll totally get in another video. I'll talk about it full depth. I don't have enough time here, but it's another interesting topic. But at a certain point in time, the YouTube scene was doing really good with indie bands and still is today. And really, they remastered all their most indie bands' music, because back in the day, you said it would be good quality at the same time, but it would have a washed out effect, like you couldn't hear it in like HD quality. Yeah, but the reason why I think is, these people, they just had such good times back in the day, and these bands been around so long to the point where they are in people's minds and their memories. These bands are, excuse me, I got hiccups, are pretty mainstream. So yeah, this one, Beach House, I don't remember when this one came out. But it definitely there's like a thing right here. It's called Sub Pop. You can check it out on YouTube. They have all, other than Beach House, they have almost their music on there. Also, the song Masters of None, which The Weeknd, he used the song from Beach House, Masters of None, for his his song, and then he sung over the beat, and then he put beats within the Masters of None Beach House song, which made it pop more while he was singing it. And then he remixed it, or someone remixed it. I don't know what happened, but then it had little the side thing where it had "You always go to the party. 2005 is a full number." Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how the song goes without getting copyrighted. Good song. Big songs obviously on this album: Levitation, Sparks, Space Song was the biggest one yet. It even became a meme at a certain point. It was so big. Beyond Love is one of the second best songs I think that's on here. 1037, PPP, Wildflower, Bluebird, and Days of Candy. Big album right here. I have both of these. And then Beach House right here. I'm just going through it. I just find this really interesting. This one's Devotion. Wedding Bell, You Came to Me, Glena, Turtle Island, Holy Dances, All the Year, Heart of Chambers, that's a good one. Some Things Last, Astronaut, Darling, that's another good one. And Home Again. Don't quote me if I said those song names right, but it's fine. And I have the newest album from the Beach House, the indie scene. This is, they're real mainstream now. They're coming to Phoenix pretty soon, I think. Yeah, they're coming to Phoenix to do a show. it's not gonna be like a giant freaking venue thing with like concerts and like people everywhere, but it's like a couple day thing where it's like in like a little bar looking scene, and then they play music. I don't know if I'm gonna go or not. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really been to a lot of. I know a lot about music bands and indie music, but I never really been to places to listen to it in person. But Once Twice Melody is their newest album, and it has one of my favorite ones is Superstar, Pink Funeral, and then obviously Once Twice Melody, and then it's actually a two CD thing. So if you look at it right here, this is one of like the first one, and there's back cover, and then the second one. So there's literally like 20, almost 20 songs or something in here. Two CDs, and then it has a little thing. I haven't even looked through this yet, but I think it has like a bunch of artwork. Yeah. Yeah, see, it has like a bunch of artwork and stuff. That's cool. Obviously, probably my first time looking at that yet, because I just, getting the CDs situated. But, man, 8 minutes on the clock. I might just, like, keep editing stuff out so I have more storage as I keep talking about it. So this is my most interesting video yet, because this is the topic I know most about. I can fully explain where people can understand it in the best of terms possible. And then obviously a classic. They came up in like 2009, 2010. A big indie band, MGMT. It stands for something. Ooh, Alpha Investments has a new video out. But MGMT, this is one of their biggest albums, I think. And they have Time to Pretend. That was so big it became a meme at some point. Kids, another big one. Electric Feel, another big one. And then one of my other favorite ones is Pieces of What. Yeah, they have a bunch of interesting artwork. I can hear like music in the background. I swear that's not me. Obviously stuff like this. But that doesn't matter. You get the point. Yeah, so those are just a handful list of the bands I so happen to have, their CDs. But this is for a point. I'm just not showing off a collection of, oh, here are my CDs. No, those are just a handful of the bands that got really big within the early 2010s and 2009, within 2012. So MGMT, they're very big now. They have a bunch of albums. They have one of the biggest songs that is very well liked. I don't know what it's called. I'll put it on the screen right now because I can't think about anything in the top of my head, but that's fine. But yeah, MGMT, Beach House, Mac DeMarco, Current Joys, Surf Curse, Strawberry Guy, Phaser Days, all these. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, I can't even get to the list. I don't know how to say their name. It's like Mistu. I don't know the name of that one. Don't know too much about that band, but yeah. Though the reason why I think it's getting big now is because people are starting to realize, oh, the indie music is actually kind of better than the mainstream music that we hear on the radio. Same thing with some creators. Oh, like the stuff the creators they put on YouTube on trending, they're actually kind of like not that just mediocre compared to the other smaller YouTubers that actually make better content and are actually more engaging and entertaining to watch compared to the big YouTubers, and are allowed to do and say more things with more freedom because they're not on the YouTube partnership, like the face of YouTube, the type of people. Yeah, I think people just like that little gray area between the mainstream and lesser known, between got a good fan base, and that's with anything. I think like if not enough people know about certain things, it's almost like it's special to this genre group of people. For instance, Alex G, he been on the music platform, I think probably Bandcamp and all those things, at least since like 2006, at least. He has songs that go far back as that. Obviously he had another one of his biggest albums that came out, is Trick, one of the biggest songs, and had another song that goes like this: "Don't get hung on petty things." That was one of his biggest songs, actually. If you go listen to it, it's actually very, very good, high quality music in my opinion for indie. I didn't understand a lot of like. There's some indie music that's just too out there, but once you get into it, you start to realize even like people like Alex G, you don't understand it at first, but once you go into their backlog and their history of music, you start to understand the catchiness and obviously the fan base, the cult fan base, like even the group of people you could see in the comments, and literally people just know about like, oh yeah, I know about Trick the album, and yeah, I know about Race, and you're like, oh, I know about that song New, and freaking yeah, there's a, and then oh yeah, Mary, that's another good song. But the fan base is by far outbeats the big fan base, with the mainstream music by far, because the mainstream everybody knows, even your grandma knows, like, oh yeah, Ariana Grande. They don't know the songs, they can't probably list them off, but they can get an idea what they probably look or sound like, because it's kind of the same like music compared to like Nicki Minaj, blah blah blah, all those other people. There's a good handful. I think Drake in the past he had some really good, interesting albums that definitely could have put it on the indie scene slash the mainstream, even if it sounds real mainstream. I think he had is the potential to be in the good indie cult fan base scene if he switched up his genre. I don't like his music now. He had some good hits, I think. They're catchy enough, but his older music's better. That's the goal to say with pretty much every mainstream artist today. So that's kind of what I think it is. There's a little gray area in between the mainstream and then the lesser known in the middle. And most people now they're comfortable going into the middle, even with their favorite YouTubers, their favorite movies, because the more mainstream stuff starts to get, the more bland and boring it starts to get, because everybody knows, everyone knows the predictability, everyone knows what they're going to expect, and with the indie scene, they're always for a treat. Well, what's next, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much it. The way I would explain it. If that makes sense, let me know. If everyone, for my 5 viewers that are watching, let me know in the comments. I thought this was interesting. I'll definitely make a part 2. And yeah, indie is better than mainstream. Also, I'm going to go into how indie is changing, and it's might be starting to go into mainstream. That could be potentially a good or bad thing. So next video I'll show you. All right, peace out.